What's up, everybody? I'm Greg Miller, and welcome to my review of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Before we go any further, everybody calm down. This is a spoiler-free review. Now, I know when I talked about I was going to do all these Let's Plays, which we're doing right here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames for the next 2 weeks. Metal Gear Solid 5 Let's Plays, come check them out. Everybody started freaking out about spoilers, that I was going to ruin the game, that all these things... First off, as I've said before, the Let's Plays aren't filled with spoilers. Nothing in the game early on is happening to spoil anything for you. So if you only care about what's happening in the missions, worry about that. But in terms of this review, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so committed to not giving you any spoilers, I'm not even going to cut in B-roll. I'm just going to talk to you and not spoil anything. Because of course, usually here, on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, we do review discussions where a few of us sit down, talk about a game we've all played. But I just came back from Los Angeles, you know it, the city of angels, where I played Metal Gear Solid 5 all week long. Like literally, Monday through Friday I was playing it, then I woke up today, Saturday, played more of it. I'm doing this video, then I'm gonna go play more, then Sunday we post this video along with a whole bunch of Let's Plays, and I'm gonna go see Kevin Smith, but that's beside this point. There's a lot going on in this game. It's hard to spoil, and I won't want to spoil this before you. I've been waiting for this game for quite some time. Obviously, Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1 changed my life. So this review will be spoiler-free. Does everyone understand? Everyone's cool. Spoiler-free. I'm not going to talk about specifics of missions. I'm not going to talk about the story in terms of what happened. I'm going to give you my opinion of it. I'm sure at some point I might mention a weapon or something like this, but you don't have to worry about the big things getting spoiled, all right? Everybody on board? Kevin, that makes sense to you? Mm-hmm. You're excited? Because Kevin's a big fan behind the camera, just like me. I can't ruin it for Kevin. I would not. If I start to spoil it, Kevin, you yell at me, all right? Mm-hmm. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Here comes your review. It's fucking awesome. Holy shit, guys. Like I said, I wasn't joking. Went there, got there Monday, played all week, have just been engrossed in this game. And when I say played all week, I want you to know there was a couple days in there where it was 10 a.m. to midnight, straight playing. Stop for bathroom breaks and food, of course, every now and again. But I mean, like, this game is everything I wanted it to be. I've talked about it a lot here on the channel, right, after we did the preview event where I was like, so far, this is my game of the year. And when I say so far, I mean, you know, the year isn't over. There's still Fallout and a couple other things. But, I mean, playing this is and I'm a huge Metal Gear fan, you guys know this. This is the best gameplay Metal Gear's ever had. Period. I mean, just this game is so much fun to play. And I mean just to play, to go out on missions, get dropped from your helicopter, get into the field, start crouching, start stealthing, go through, I'm gonna knock these guys out, I'm gonna Fulton them back home, I see a plant over here I need, oh, I've marked all these enemies, well, I thought I was gonna do this mission, but on the way I saw this side quest, so I'm gonna do that before I get there. Like, I think there were a lot of concerns, at least for me, you know, when Hideo Kojima started talking about the fact of Metal Gear Solid 5's coming, it's open world, he showed that graph, right, and he's like, it's this many versions of Shadow Moses, and it's huge, and da-da-da. And you start to think about this game being unwielding, but the moment-to-moment gameplay is so good. Like, all I want to do is keep playing this. I want to keep jumping back in there, and that comes from a bunch of different reasons. First off, if you played Peace Walker, this is finally Peace Walker 2. This is Peace Walker Super HD consoleized version, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? Like, it's the same ideas where you are building out Mother Base, you have to keep making struts, you're going out, you're Fultoning out guys, bringing them back home, assigning them to teams, those teams get better, and as your R&D team gets better, you can develop different weapons. As your combat team gets better, you can send them out on harder combat ops. You know, GMP's back that you're spending to level things up, to get better versions of weapons, to get better gear for your buddies, which are people who can come out now on missions with you. And these people, again, these aren't spoilers. Kevin, these aren't spoilers. Nope. Buddies have been talked about before. You got the dog, you got the walker, you got Quiet, you got the horse. They're all great buddies. They all have different things. They all have loyalty to them. They all have different weapons and things to do. And there's different uses for each one of them. You know what I mean? Obviously, the horse can get you from point A to point B, but Quiet can lay down suppressive fire, take out threats for you. The dog, DD, can identify different people that, you know, as you're coming up. You don't have to be doing the marking with your binoculars all the time. There's a lot of things happening, is what I'm saying. And it all works in this fluid, awesome motion. Like, the game, and I know it sounds stupid, and I'm trying to be spoiler-free, of course, the game's just too much fun to play. And that's the easy way to say it. It's the short end of saying it, right? Like, the fact that right now I'm thinking about when I get back in that I need to go and I really got to get more support staff so I can get them to 35 on their level, right? I think the level cap's 50, but don't quote me on that because I haven't hit it on any of my guys. Get them there so that I can then take them, so I can make a better trank gun, so that I can then continue to get better guys. I've now upgraded my binocs, of course, so that I can see S-rank soldiers on the field, so that I can get them, bring them, upgrade everybody. That way I can go get another strut, because you can get all these different struts now to your Mother Base, which you were able to do before, but now you can have like 4 R&D struts. They're going to make, you see what I'm saying? Like, you start wading into this game, and it's not just man, I can't wait to play a mission where I take on a Metal Gear. It's I can't wait to get an S-ranked medical guy, bring him back and put him in the lab. I can't wait to get out there and see how these two guys will work in the field together. I can't wait to, oh, I just got this new tank I abducted. I want to use it on this. The variations are endless, and I know that is such a cliche to say. You know what I mean? That's when I used to write reviews. You write, and you're going, oh, like I tossed another cliche in here. But when the reason you use cliches, right, is because they're true, and that's how they became cliches. Like this is definitely the Metal Gear that is the one that literally, however you want to play it, you go and play it. Like if you want to go in there and stealth everybody, like, you know, go ahead and do that, and you'll have a better shot at an S rank at the end of the mission. But if you want to go in there and kill people, you can still kill people and hit an S rank. It's tougher, but you can do that. They're actually opening it up a bit. Now don't get me wrong, they're still encouraging you not to kill. But you can go and do it that way. You can go in there and be like, man, I'm getting my ass handed to me right now when it's me and quiet, so instead I'll go in with the D-Walker, which is the mech you get in, run around, shoot things, trank everybody that way. Or I've upgraded my suit and I've got, that would have been a spoiler, I've upgraded my suit and I have abilities I want to use, so I'll go use them. And that's the other, like, brilliant thing about the game, is the fact that, you know, I'm the guy who on the internet's always talking about old game is old. I don't want to replay things I've already played, da 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 da. And then you know, leading up to this, I was like, I want to platinum Phantom Pain, but I know it's going to be a lot of work, and I know that, you know, it's going to be too hard, or this, that, or the other. It's just going to take too much. Because like Ground Zeroes, I didn't have fun with Ground Zeroes, right? I've talked about this at length. The fact that Ground Zeroes to me always felt like I was in a shoebox. I get dropped in the middle of it, and everybody sees me, and there's no place to hide, and it doesn't feel great, and da da da. Ground Zeroes was concept of like, here's how gameplay is going to work, and Phantom Pain is the proof. And Phantom Pain is, you get dropped into this world, and all right, cool, it's in an open spot, it's an outpost here, it's an airport here, come at it any way you want. There's different points of entry, there's different routes people are taking. You can come in there and decide how you want to tackle it and do it the way you want to do it, which for me is what's so fascinating. The fact of, right now, I'm in a mission, and I mean, not right now, I'm talking to you right now, but in the other room, I have my game suspended because I'm just getting my ass handed to me in this fight with like, I can't talk about that. I'm getting my ass handed to me. We'll just leave it there, right, in one of these side ops. And it's not like I'm thinking, well, this game's too hard, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do about it. I'm thinking, man, I should quit out, re-equip the battle dress armor, come back in, only have grenade launchers, only have this, you know, have all these different things in your head. I need to what Quiet's rocking right now, she's using a trank gun. She can't be using a trank gun. I need her fucking splattering brains in this level. I can't have it be, and this is what I'm talking about, is the fact that the game is always with me, and that's a weird thing. I mean, keep in mind, again, I played it for an entire week. Ladies and gentlemen. Currently, my eyes are incredibly sore from playing it, but as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going back out there and playing it again. That is something special. That is a game, I mean, I enjoyed The Witcher, right? But I played Witcher for a long period of time, and I'd be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go do something else. I'm gonna go watch a movie, I'm gonna go see friends, I'm gonna, oh God forbid, talk to Christine. I'm gonna go do something, I love you, Christine. I'm gonna go do something else. In this game, it's like, thank God Colin and Christine are here this weekend, so I don't have to talk to anybody. I can just sit out there and play this game until I'm sure my eyes do eventually bleed. And it's all comes back to the fact that it's so much fun to play. What I wanna drive home, if you're still with me here, and you aren't a Metal Gear fan, if you are somebody who's like, I've never connected with the franchise, I don't like it for X, Y, and Z, try this one, but get to at least mission 3. And I always hate that when people like, oh man, Final Fantasy, whatever, Tim's talking, not me. The Final Fantasy, whatever, is great after 80 hours. Then you get, no, that's a shitty excuse for a bad game. My thing about it is that the opening to Metal Gear, no spoilers, I mean, you already know how it opens probably if you're watching this video. You don't know what happens in it, and I'm not going to ruin that for you. But it's slower, right? They're trying to get you a little bit of a, here's what's happening. You have a lot of questions, figuring it all out kind of things. But then, once you get dropped in the open world, that's the gameplay I'm talking about. And that's the gameplay that has kept me going, currently, as of this recording, for 54 hours. I've been playing Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, for 54 hours in 1 week. I'm only 49% done with the game. That's my completion percentage. And that's getting back, because I tend to do long-winded when I'm all by myself, let alone when somebody else is here, to what I was saying about tackling it every way, and why I think the longevity and why I can't wait to keep playing it is because, first off, there's beat the mission, obviously, to get to the next part of the mission. These are story missions I'm talking about here. Beat those. Then, did you get an S rank? No, we'll replay it to get the S rank. Then now there's these new mission tasks on there where you have to go through and do them in a certain thing. And those aren't tied necessarily to S rank. You can S rank a mission and not do all the tasks, but if you want to get like the gold star, which isn't, I don't mean a literal gold star, but you know, trophies, achievements, stuff like that, from what I saw leaked on the internet, because I still can't connect my PlayStation 4 to the internet because of my Konami NDA. Don't try to get me on that, Konami. There's going to be the, you know, do all the mission tasks or whatever. There's reasons to go back and replay these missions, and not only replay them, reason to go back and replay them completely different than how you do the first time. I can't wait to go back to the missions that were giving me trouble when I first started playing, when I didn't have anything, right? Because as you go, obviously you're unlocking things, you're building out things, you're doing all these, you're changing and evolving, not only in your own playstyle, because if you watch the Let's Plays we're putting up, spoiler alert, I'm awful in them. Terrible. But in the last Let's Play we put up, I actually have it together. I'm like, oh good, I'm back to normal. The fact that you're going to be able to go back and use all the cool weapons and do all these different things. And let's talk about this for a second. This is not a spoiler, Kevin. If this starts sounding like a spoiler, you stop me. In the game, through the side ops, you eventually get, I think they call him a master gunsmith. He just goes into your, stick with me, he just goes into your, you know, mother base, whatever. And once he's there, you can then customize your weapons. Have I spoiled anything?
I think that's acceptable.
Thank you very much, Kevin. So, mind you, I finally unlocked the master gunsmith, and you're going to think you get him earlier, but that would be a spoiler. I finally unlocked this guy 20 hours in, we'll say. No, probably, 20. We'll say 20, 25, I unlocked this dude, right? And I'm like, oh, cool, customize. I'm going to be able to change the color of my guns. That was exciting for me because I'm a nerd. So I jumped in there and I took my sniper rifle and my trank pistol and my machine gun and made the bodies yellow because I had a patch that was black and yellow. It said Miller. It looked like Mizzou colors. And then I did all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool. But when I get in there and I do all that, then I'm like, oh, wait, I can go switch out pieces. I'm like, oh, cool, so you can put a different stock on the guns, and it's pulling from all the different, or I guess butts. You shoot guns? Butt of the gun, you know what I'm talking about?
I think it's the stock.
It is stock, is stock the middle?
No, I think stock.
Stock's the thing.
I think so.
Yeah, whatever. We don't shoot guns. We're in San Francisco. You put the stock there or whatever. I'm like, oh, cool. But then you went through and it was like, okay, so I have my trank sniper rifle I finally unlocked, right? But then I have my other sniper rifles too. And basically all of their parts are in a bin for this guy to screw with. I almost cursed, but I've already cursed. Why would I stop there? All this bin for this guy to fuck with. And what's exciting about that is that I had unlocked silenced sniper rifle that could kill people, which is like great, but I don't want to kill anybody. And then I had the really fucking loud trank sniper rifle, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, whatever. But when they're all in the bin and I had to customize, I could go take the silencer off of not even off of, I just had the silencer now. Take the silencer and put it onto the trank gun there and build out my own custom weapons. And then you're messing with the muzzles, you're messing with all these different things, and those are actually augmenting the stats. So you unlock, you know, you're going through your GMP, you're leveling up, you're building out your teams and getting these blueprints so you can make super special weapons. But on top of that, you can put them all into this box and make them even more special and customized for you. Like, that sounds like such a minute thing, I'm sure. But the fucking love I have now for my custom guns and my custom trank, I mean, like, are you kidding me? Yes. And now it's to the point where I'm looking at the next gun I want to unlock because I want those parts for what I'm doing over here. That was the big thing for me, is the fact of like, I'm, you know, trying to play through this in true Metal Gear fashion where I'm not killing people, so I'm trying to trank everybody. So I'd unlocked a lot of trank stuff, and then it just started piling up with guns that could kill people. I'm like, I don't want that. I get this dude, and I'm like, well, fuck. Now I start spending it on all that, trying to do this. And this is one incredibly narrow thing I'm talking about in this game. Imagine this now applied to Mother Base, applied to combat ops, applied to things you might build and spoiler things you do, and outfits, and your teammates, and I mean, like, this keeps going to the point that this eye feels like it's going to explode. 54 hours in 6 days, and I can't wait to go do more. You know what I mean? I was pissed I had to fly on a plane yesterday. I was pissed I didn't get to play as long on Monday as I wanted to. All I want to do is go play this game, and now I gotta edit this goddamn video. But you see what I'm driving at. The gameplay is amazing in this. Kevin, I lied when I said this video might only be 5 minutes. Sorry.
It's okay.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
It's hard to do a discussion when there's no one to discuss it with. You know what I'm saying?
Like, you're just making me more and more excited.
Good. I'm glad. Well, I mean, I don't really care, but I'm glad I'm communicating it now to that why of this. So I'm going through my gameplay here. Yeah, S ranks. Yeah. I wrote down capturing animals. I put no notes on there, but again, don't want to kill things, don't want to do the main story, don't want to do side ops. Well, why don't you go build out your zoo? We've talked about that. Peter Brown and I did that in our preview piece, so I hope you saw that here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Subscribe so you don't miss the content. Let's Plays for the next 2 weeks. No, they don't spoil everything. Calm the fuck down, Reddit. Okay, moving through here. Peace Walker on crack. You're floating out tanks. I didn't say that, of course, but you've seen the videos of that. You know that already. So let's get to then something that isn't amazing. We're gonna talk about the story. Again, no spoilers. We're not going to spoil anything. Here's what I want you to know. This is talking to you, and you've made it this far, so you're either a Greg Miller Kind of Funny fan or a Metal Gear fan. And either way, thank you for caring. Here's what I want to boil this one down to and say it in the brass tacks of it. This game lacks the Metal Gear moment. And I don't know what that is for you, but for me, that's Hal sitting over, or I guess kneeling over Sniper Wolf, and her giving that awesome monologue as she dies, and him crying, and Snake being there and staring up at the stars and stuff, where you're like, holy crap, that was awesome. You know what I mean? You think back to 2, when it's like, you know, all of a sudden you make the jump to Raiden, or you're going through and Colonel's talking to you and he's like, it's all VR, turn off your system. And you're like, what the fuck has happened? Like these moments where you're like, oh my God. Now, it has those moments in gameplay again. I can't tell you the number of times where at this review event in LA, I would literally finish a mission and be like, oh, and notice that I was 2 inches from the screen, I was on the edge of my chair literally, and I had to like settle back and get like back to being a normal. You get amped up to do that, which is awesome and great for the gameplay. In terms of the story, it's interesting, but the main narrative thread, and this is not a spoiler, of the whole, like, what is Skullface up to? We already saw him in Ground Zeroes. You know, XOF is up to something, da-da-da-da. That, for me, got resolved at 30 hours. 30 hours, I rolled credits on the story, and these are all quotes because you know how Metal Gear games work. At least, just Metal Gear games in general. You know, there's always going to be another ending. There's always going to be another story. There's always going to be something else. Roll the ending on the Skullface narrative, and it was like, oh, okay, that was cool. That was fine. That was, all right, great. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to say, and I think it might come down to the point that for us reviewing the game, right, they were like, all right, here, you're going to get to play the game. Don't talk about this final mission or this second to final mission, right? And so then you had the mission numbers. So as a player now informed of those mission numbers, when I rolled credits on Skullface's thing, I was like, oh, so that would have been, if I'm a normal player who doesn't have an NDA, who didn't get talked to about what's coming up, I wouldn't have known that. I would have thought that was the real ending of the game, right, or whatever. That's where it ends. And I don't mean real ending, because then you'd be like, that's a spoiler, but you know what I mean. Like, you know, his story wraps up quickly, I feel like, all of a sudden. And you're like, oh, okay. Now, what's awesome is then they do this whole thing where, hey, don't forget that there's all these things you didn't, and this is really hard not to do spoiler stuff. I mean, Kevin sees me struggling here. They do this whole thing of like, don't forget there's all these other threads, and you're like, oh right, those threads are interesting. Again, they're not amazing, but it's like, yes, I would like to know more about what's happening with Quiet, what's happening with this guy, what's happening with this guy. A lot of things. I'm dancing here now, but you see what I'm saying? This is where reviews get really weird, right? I wanted to know all of these threads and see them tied up, right? But none of them to me were like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? Some of it's predictable. I think some of it the internet's nailed. Some of it you won't see coming. But even the stuff you didn't see coming, I didn't feel like I was rocked at any point, if that makes sense. Like, I felt like every Metal Gear's had a moment where it's like, whoa, like Peace Walker, right? Like, I mean, Peace Walker, you know, is my favorite game of all time. So the first time, like the Chrysalis or any of the robots show up and they're singing the song, flying through the air and creeping you out, or the end when Big Boss is on Boss's steed and riding up the mountain and it's exploding and da-da-da. Like, this, I didn't feel had those crescendos. The story's interesting throughout, you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, what's gonna happen? Oh, okay, that's cool, whatever, da-da-da. But I felt like it's a weird thing, especially because I'm always talking about on the internet and on Kind of Funny Gamescast that I'm like the story whore and I need a great story. For me, it really was the story I was building, I guess, with my team in terms of what my mother base was going to do and how I was going to tackle this mission and what's going to happen here. That when you get down to, all right, there's a million cassette tapes to listen to that tell you the narrative of what's happening with Kaz or what's happening on mother base, you're like, oh, that's cool and that's interesting and I want to know certain pieces of it. But overall, I don't feel like the crushing need to get to know what was Skullface's plan, what is he up to, where is he going, so on and so forth. And I don't want this to sound like a knock. If I was giving you a written review or whatever, the con for sure would be like, yeah, like the story's just kind of there or whatever. But there's definitely interesting parts to it. But none of them are like jaw on the floor crazy. And I think some of this might come down to the fact that we've had a long time to sit here and mull over what we think is going to happen in the Phantom Pain and what it all means. So you've known for a while things are weird. And so when you get to see why they're weird, you're like, oh, okay. I don't know. It's fun. It was interesting. It's good. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just kind of there. You know what I mean? Kevin, am I making sense on that one? Mm-hmm. You agree?
What? I can't agree. I don't know.
It'd be helpful if you had played this game, Kevin.
Hand it over.
I'm not. I got too much to do. I still got to platinum this thing. Oh, and I put down here on story to talk a little bit about the characters, of course. Troy Baker, as you know, friend of Kind of Funny, full disclosure. He's great. He's a great Ocelot. Really a big fan of him. Miller's performance is excellent too. Not Miller, you know, Robin's performance, right? Robin Atkindowns. Am I saying that? You got that? Some Metal Gear fan you are. Look at that. I'm out here and I pulled it out of my hat. Good job. And then Kiefer Sutherland. As I said in the Grounds, no, not in the Ground Zeroes one. As I said in the Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain preview here with me and Peter Brown from GameSpot talking about it, he's just still a silent protagonist in this. You know what I mean? Like, if you listen to the tapes, he comes through there a little bit more. But in general, like, it's still that weird thing where when he does talk, you're like, oh, right, that's weird. It's Kiefer Sutherland. I forgot about that. It's not David Hayter. I wish they would have kept Hayter. Kiefer Sutherland, fine job. The quietest snake we've ever had. Not him, obviously. The portrayal of the character in this version, quietest snake we've ever had. And I think, as I've said before, I think that is not the recasting business. The fact that there's less talking and less cutscenes really is real, and they've focused on gameplay, is Kojima really saying, like, I've listened to everyone's comments about my Metal Gear games in the past, of how Metal Gear Solid 4 was playing a movie and snarky internet comments. But I really do believe that this is a response to that, of like, okay, let's dial it where gameplay all of a sudden is super important and awesome, and cutscenes happen, but they aren't like Metal Gear cutscenes. They aren't like what you think of, where you go and get a pizza made or whatever during it. People still make pizzas. They order them a lot, don't they?
I make them sometimes.
Do you make them ever?
Yeah.
You say yeah, but do you mean like frozen?
Yeah.
Or do you mean like pull the dough and
frozen.
Put the sauce on?
Frozen. I make them with my family, like with my mom and stuff.
Seems like a lot of work.
No, it's a lot of fun though.
But what if I just want the pizza? Anyways, what I'm saying is that the cutscenes are there. There is story told through cutscenes, but it's not like before. And they do, like, here's the thing too, of course, is that you understand, for me, this is all happening really, really quickly, right? 54 hours in 6 days. All of this feels like it's on fire. I guess, yeah. There's cool moments. I don't want to make it sound like the story has no cool moments. I don't think there's anything on par with Sniper Wolf, on par with Peace Walker awesomeness. I think there's great moments to it. Again, I can't spoil them. We'll talk about it when you get there. But, yeah. I don't want to make it sound like I'm making a giant negative. But and maybe it is like I just talked about. The fact that they put so much emphasis on gameplay, that's just making, by comparison, you go, okay, cool. Skullface is up to no good, and I got to figure out what the hell's happening over there with that guy. And the one thing I want to touch on too, that I kind of got to, is just the size of this game. It's awesome. This is always my favorite part, is when I've been playing a game and I know how I feel about it and what I think about it, but what are the other critics and, of course, you, the consumer, going to think about it? And I imagine for some people, they are going to knock the size of Metal Gear Solid 5. Which isn't, I'm not going to say it's crazy, right? Because reviews are opinions. Get out of here, Fuzz. Reviews are opinions, and obviously, whatever your opinion is, express to the audience. For me, I'm obviously blessed that I had this week to play it. I don't even mean early, just a week to play it. Because, again, 54 hours, 49%. Like, I don't know, it would have taken me until next year to play this with the current schedule of just how we work and stuff. Like, if you're looking for a game that you can just get lost in, this is it. And I think it works in a way of, hey man, I have 15 minutes to play tonight. Okay, I'm gonna go do this side op, try to rescue this mother base soldier or whatever, and you're in and out and you know what's happening. Or it can be, hey, I have an hour to go, so I'll do this mission. You don't know if it's gonna be an hour, but like that's generally the longest mission I think I ever had was like an hour 45 minutes. An hour or 45 minutes. 45 minutes to an hour. And so it's worth saying how effing huge this game is. Why do I keep censoring myself when I've been cursing the whole video?
You're fine.
Who knows?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter?
Yeah.
Did you think any more about pizzas?
A little bit.
Almost ordered a pizza last night.
Hmm?
Talked myself out of it.
What'd you eat instead?
Frozen pizza. Christine had some leftover frozen pizza here. I was like, well, it's already here. I didn't know how hungry I was because I ate in the airport. Big game. Game's really big. Lots to do, lots to get lost in, but I think the important thing is if you go on this channel, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, and watch my Peace Walker Let's Play, where I brought Tim in, right? And Nick in, or I was playing with Nick and then talked with Tim afterwards. Nick was taken aback by how much shit there was to do in Peace Walker, right? But it was because he dropped into my save in the 65-hour mark. If he had, same thing here with Peace Walker, or I'm sorry, same thing here with Phantom Pain, where it all builds slowly. The systems get built on top of one another until you turn around and look back and realize you have all this stuff to do. You start off with fewer things to do, and then it opens up and gets crazy. Not that it takes long, but it's slower. So don't get, what I'm basically saying is you're going to see all these reviews that come out, and people are all going to be like, I put 50 hours in, I don't know what's happening, did I get the real ending, am I done here, da 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 da. I did this, I did that. Maybe it's too much for some people, maybe it isn't. I think the game's what you make of it. I was talking to Kevin earlier today at dinner, and I was telling Kevin, you know, like he was concerned about like, well, how much attention do I have to pay to Mother Base? I think a lot. You know, like my first day with the game, and the first 2 days with the game were really spent on side ops and flattening out people, because I wanted my base to be awesome, and I wanted my R&D team to be producing, because I wanted the, you know, better weapons. Obviously you can't get the best because it takes, I'm 54 hours in, I still haven't even gotten remotely close to level capping these institutions on Mother Base. But you could go through and not focus on them. You could go through and worry about, you know, just getting through the story missions and stuff. I think you make a harder bed for yourself, if that makes sense. It's going to be a harder trek for you in terms of not having the best equipment, not having this stuff. But it's going to be interesting to see how many people beat it and how much it matters. Because I think when I sit down and talk to somebody about Peace Walker or Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear Solid 2 or whatever, have at it. You pick up any Metal Gear, I guess, before this, not excluding Acid or Portal Ops. When I talk about those games, you talk about like, yeah, da, 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 and then when the ending happens and this happened and there was, you know, the credits roll and then there's the logo as always with then people talking over it. What is happening? You have those conversations. This is a game that I don't think is going to be in that vein. I think this game is going to be, man, I was having so much fun last night and I played this, and how did you take out this boss? And how did you take out this mission? What did you do here? Da, 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 da. And then I think it's going to trail off. I think it's kind of like the Witcher syndrome, right? Of like, how many people beat The Witcher? I haven't. I had a great time with The Witcher. I put probably another 50 hours into it, right? But for me, that wasn't about the ending or the story. I think that's how Metal Gear is going to play out, which is interesting because I talked about the story ending of Skullface or whatever, right? The ending of Metal Gear Solid 5 has a lot that needs to be discussed in a spoiler environment that isn't here. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for people and if that's too intimidating, but it's a huge game, and I have a feeling it's going to get knocked for that from some people, but I don't want it to. I think it's whatever you make of it. You can jump in and you can play 10 hours of it and have a great time. You can jump in and be a nut job like me and play 54 and then play theoretically another 54 and have a great time too, if that makes sense. That makes sense, Kev? You see what I'm saying? It is what you make of it, Kev, just like a pizza. Mm-hmm. Like a pizza. Oh, and this is something else I want to call out too. I talked a little bit about this and the fact of like, I really dig the fact that there's so many different ways to play missions where it's like, how do you want to tackle it? Just go do what you want to do. Here, did you get the best rank on it? Great. Here are these, you know, mission objective, mission tasks to go through and do it. What I really dig and I want to give a compliment to on the side of replayability is the fact that when you beat the story, it then gives you varied versions of the missions you've already done. So like, you know, whatever, you've already played mission X. Now it's mission X and it's only do it as pure stealth. You have no reflex mode. If you get spotted, it's game over, which isn't new, but cool. They have one in there that is probably my favorite, because right now it's really hard and I'm running my head against the wall again trying to do it, is the fact of getting dropped into a mission that you've already done, the difficulty's cranked up, no reflex mode, and you have no equipment. You're dropped in there without anything, and so then you have to procure everything on site and figure out how you're going to do the objective. Like, that stuff's awesome, and that's the one where, you know, like, I'm sure when people heard that we were doing 2 weeks of Let's Plays, they jumped to me doing these kind of crazy things and spoiling how you go through and do stuff in the fastest. All of our Let's Plays are me going through and being an idiot, not being able to do it, getting killed, getting spotted, being stupid, because I'm dumb. But that's the thing with these harder missions. I really hope people give them a shot before going to YouTube and watching how somebody does it the quickest way. Because it's fun to go in there and problem solve, because in the game, you know, it ramps up to you feeling like as you should, feeling like Big Boss, feeling like this super powered guy where it's like, you can drop me into any situation and I'm going to take care of it the way I want to take care of it and be great. But when they start painting you into the corner a little bit of like, well, now I do it without any weapons, or now I do it only in stealth, that's super, super interesting. And then it's hard and it's whatever and it's everything great. Can I go play more Metal Gear now, Kevin? All right, good. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been my review, Greg Miller's review of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. It was spoiler-free, so there you go. Everybody be chill. I imagine once Tim plays a lot of this, once Kevin plays a lot of this, we'll do a review discussion where we actually sit down and do spoilers and do everything. But 2 weeks beforehand, there's really no reason for it. The things for you to know right now is that the game comes out September 1st. It's fucking awesome. totally. I mean, like, you already know that I'm a huge Metal Gear fan. This is like such a dream come true in terms of a game. Do I wish the story was a little bit more like hooks in me? Oh my god, yeah. But I guess in the same breath, no, because I did want to know. Like, when the story missions popped up, I immediately went to them. Now, granted, I was trying to beat it for review, but I was also like, I wanted to know what's happening. But I guess really the fact that I'm like, on the story really speaks to how guns blazing, balls to the wall, awesome the gameplay is. Like, the gameplay is so good. Like, it's so good. Everyone who works on it needs to be commended for that. I almost said condemned for that. That's the opposite of commended. Don't condemn people, Kevin. Okay? It's pretty, too, if you're wondering. It's a pretty game in terms of, like, visuals. Like, it's, you know, duh. I don't know, is that what you look for in reviews anymore? You've already been watching the Let's Plays, I'm sure, here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. There's no spoilers. Everybody chill out. Don't worry. It's going to be okay. Well, there's some spoilers again. Because if you know, how could... You can't show a game and not spoil like what mission 2 looks like. You know what I mean, Kev? Kev knows what I mean.
But there's no story spoilers.
I mean, well,
like
what do you... Yeah, there's no big story spoilers. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing is like, what do you consider a story or spoiler? Like, you know what I mean? Like, the things that would be spoiled in this game, in our Let's Plays for the game, I don't think haven't been put into trailers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the biggest reveal I can think of is the first mission that's going up right now, Sunday, 5 o'clock, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Subscribe, like, share, please. This is all we do for a living now. And that's like, that was like I know I've seen the cutscene of what happens in that. I'm not spoiling it for you, because look, we're in a spoiler-free environment. Nothing happens. Who's Batman? I don't know. Spoilers. You've seen it you know what I mean? It's like, it's impossible to do it where there's no story spoilers. Yeah, you're meeting this guy for the first time. Well, you're being reunited with this guy for the first time. Well, yeah, but you knew that was going to happen because the trailer showed him putting on his sunglasses. Like, what are you talking about? Get off my back, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a rambling conversation, but god damn it, do I love it. I love doing this kind of dumb stuff with you. Just sitting here, have a little 1 page of notes, and we just sit here and tell you why I'm obsessed with this game. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, is amazing. I'm a big, big fan. Still my game of the year. We'll see what Fallout has to say about that when that comes down the pipe. And when I get to beat Volume. Because it was on PC, and then I'm waiting for it on Vita, but that got delayed a little bit, but no big deal. I'll wait. It's not like a big delay, just 2 weeks. They want to make it, it's on PS4, but if I'm going to sit down at PS4, motherfucker, I got Phantom Pain to platinum. Until next time, like, subscribe, share. It's been my pleasure to serve.